Lorain County's first human trafficking conviction. Judge James Miraldi dropping the hammer. Stephen Gilbert gets life in prison. He will never get out, not eligible for parole for 172 years.
Gilbert ran a trafficking ring for years, and he raped, beat, and drugged the women he forced into prostitution. The prosecutor in Lorain County said Gilbert committed monstrous acts and that the community can now breathe easier knowing he's locked up forever. So the question now becomes, how do we prevent human trafficking? How do we prevent people from being forced into that type of lifestyle?
That's a big question, Tiffany. We went to the FBI. They have a clear perspective on this, and you may find it shocking just how big a problem this has actually become. Human trafficking is far more predominant and much more significant issue facing the FBI than simple stranger abduction. And traffickers target, according to Special Agent Andy Burke, actually hunt their victims rather than snatch random victims.
When the reality is that traffickers are highly tuned predators that have an acute radar for vulnerable populations. And our trafficking victims, in general, come from these marginalized areas of society.
Traffickers can and do target kids and adults. When it comes to kids, they focus on the marginalized areas of society. And it does not take them long to isolate those who have seemingly been left behind by their families to fend for themselves.
Kids that are in need of food, shelter, love, attention, kids that have a lot going on at home.
Traffickers, Agent Burke said, will seize on 3 specific areas when it comes to children who are eventually trafficked. Those in the foster care system, the juvenile justice system, or habitual runaways. And these children are lured simply by their need for survival. Traffickers know how to reach them and then develop relationships with them until they are pulled into a web with little chance to spin out.
With children, these predators don't necessarily resort immediately to violence or addiction. What they are seizing on is the vulnerability of the child, that kid's need for food, shelter, transportation, hygiene.
As for adults, the timeline of the abduction is often radically different. Traffickers will, in most cases, be able to gain control of their victims quickly. But traffickers still use vulnerabilities as a way to control the lives of those victims.
Typically, victims of human trafficking, adult victims of human trafficking, are targeted with manipulation, violence, addiction. Those kind of things are what a predator would seize on to gain control of that victim.
To put the numbers in perspective, according to the FBI, stranger abduction, someone just snatching your kid off the street, accounts for less than 1%. 1% of all abductions in the United States. Trafficking victims make up 30%.